So finally the sister was ready, and I went up the stairs, looked out this crack in the wall, but they had got her up and put her in full habit, and one nun on each side of her, and I gave her the letter, and that was the first time, as I say, she'd heard from her sister either way in 5 years. Gave her the letter, and she read it and asked if she could return the letter. And I said, I don't know whether I'll be able to deliver it or not, but yes. So I left there and we went back, and we were on our way actually to Japan, really. And while, wait a minute, I'll get ahead of myself. We came back and we were supposed to go down through Liège, Belgium, which we did. But in the meantime, my having a Jeep, I detoured back to the De Frapons, the Dutch family, gave them the letter, and come back in. So,
Now, was that considered acceptable, or?
well, it was, no, I don't think it was, but I did it anyway. So we went into Liège, and we came back on a victory ship with the 101st Airborne. 101st Airborne. Got about 100 miles out to sea and found out that the soldiers on the 101st Airborne had smuggled this young person, a young boy, aboard the ship in a duffel bag. Well, the captain of the ship was just about ready to turn back because it was a stowaway, but the general on board says, no, we're going to New York.
I guess so,
And because one of the guys was a teacher, again, like you, and he and the others had actually made a uniform for this young boy, and
Now, why did they smuggle it?
because he wanted to adopt him as a youngster when he
was an
got
orphan or
back to the
something?
States. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know whatever happened when we hit New York, but evidently it turned out all right.
Now, was this before VJ Day? Was the 101st going back
the
for?
VJ, no, I'll come back to that. Now, as I say, we're on our way to Japan. Now, while I was in West Virginia, my brothers and sister, and while I was there, en route back to Texas, the war ended.
Oh, okay.
So, but we still had to go back to Texas to be discharged.
So your return home was what was thought to be temporary ended up being permanent.
Yeah, well, permanent. And we went back to Texas, within 2 blocks of where I took my former training.
Do you remember exactly where you were when the war ended? Where were you when you heard the war had ended?
In West Virginia, at my brother's and sister's house.
Okay. And was it just over the radio you heard it, or?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose so. Anyway, it was what, August?
Mm-hmm.
It ended in August. But the thing about it, if they had discharged me in the East Coast, I wouldn't have had to go 2,000 miles back to Texas. I got back to Texas, and they disbanded the company, and they transferred me to the 1st Guided Missile Battalion. And they kept me until 1947. They wanted but I was discharged in 47 from the 1st Guided Missile Battalion, which is the forerunner of NASA.
Wow.
That's when they were trying to develop this rocket.
Sure.
And what called the WWII Corporal, I believe. And we were in bunkers with thick concrete walls, and they let it go, and they didn't know where it was going either.
Now, this was an American project,
Oh yeah,
but by the end of the war, my impression was that we tried to round up as many of the Germans as possible.
that comes later. I'll tell you that too. While I was there, they recruited von Braun and several others. The Russians did the same thing, although they didn't recruit them; they just kidnapped them, basically. And of course, you know, from von Braun on into the entire program, and that's how it developed.
Okay, so were they at the place where you were working?
Oh yeah, definitely.
No, I didn't know
And
that.
because out in White Sands, New Mexico, and they also were in Huntsville, Alabama. There was another area that they had the rocket system. They had a tremendous time getting it through Congress because they were fighting about it.
Okay.
But if you want to read something about the space program, get Michener's book on space. That'll go into all the details I just mentioned here with Van Braun and others. So that's about it.
Okay.